to our event, the next generation of workers and leaders. But a little housekeeping before we start. I'm hoping that you all know where the toilets are. Please turn off your cameras and sound if you are not presenting. Please do use the chat function for questions and comments, which we'll all be watching during the session, and we will use them during the panel Q&A at the end. We would recommend that you watch the event in speaker view, and the event is being recorded and will be available on the Business South YouTube channel. A special thank you to our Borough Council partners, to Guildford, to Surrey Heath, and to Waverley. Thank you. If you want to get social, use @BizSouth on Twitter with these hashtags and follow us on LinkedIn. Our team will be tweeting throughout the event. So here's the agenda for our packed hour ahead. We're going to hear from 4 angles in this debate: from further education, from a business, from government-sponsored skills support, and from higher education. But before we start, let's have a poll. Shirley, can we have the poll up? So which job seekers are eligible to apply for the Kickstart scheme? I get the opinion this is a trick question, guys, but go for it. And the results will come through shortly, hopefully. Very good. 16 to 24-year-old job seekers claiming universal credit. There's a lot of people out there that know their stuff, 71%, and that is the correct answer. Now let's get on to our first speaker this afternoon. It is Francis Rutter, Principal and Chief Executive of Nescot. Nescot is also known as the North East Surrey College of Technology, a really well-respected further education college in Surrey. So welcome, Francis, and over to you.
Thanks very much, Rosemary. And we're not just an FE college, we do HE as well, but Max at Surrey Uni is one of our speakers a bit later on, so he's going to be covering that off, and I'm not going to talk about HE. You might be pleased to know, Max. So just to be clear, the brief I was given was to talk about challenges from an FE perspective and how FE supports the Surrey economy with particular relevance to STEM, the care sector, and clean growth. And challenges, well, FE's always got lots of challenges, and 6 minutes isn't long to talk about those challenges. So I tried to think of ways of, how do we turn those challenges into opportunities? And I thought I'd come up with a snazzy quote for you around challenges are really just opportunities in disguise. But I came across something which I thought was much better. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. And I think it's really true to say that we have not been on smooth seas over the course of particularly the last year. But FE probably a ways before that as well. And yes, somebody's got to mention COVID, and I think as first speaker, it probably has to be me. It has been awful for everybody in one way, shape or form, but it has been particularly awful for young people. And it has done potentially a lot of damage to their educations and to their career prospects. And we have seen over the course of the last probably 7, 8, 9 months, lots of analysis about what that means in terms of the labour market and skills gaps and the impact that COVID particularly has had. Now, we were doing a lot of that work anyway previously with the LEBs. I was asked to give some personal views and insights. Personally, I think we are in danger of paralysis by analysis. We have got a huge amount of data now, and actually the time has come to stop admiring the problem from every angle and actually get down to some real action. And just at the perfect moment in time, the government produces the skills white paper. I won't ask for a show of hands on who has read it. I suspect there may not be too many, but some of the education bodies on the call may well have done. Those of you who have, and those of you who follow anything to do with FE might have seen the front page of FE Week, who did a brilliant summation of the major opportunities stroke challenges for FE in the white paper. And I just picked through that again today. I think the biggest opportunity there for us is around local skills improvement plans and the formation of college business centres. And that is intended to ensure that skills provision is in response to labour market needs that are local, and gives an opportunity for quite credibly articulated and an evidence-based assessment of skills needs to which providers are empowered to respond. So put that another way, are skills providers actually giving young people, and not just young people, it's not just 16 to 18 or those up to 24-year-olds, but actually it's people across the board with adult education in FE as well. Are we giving them the skills that they need, the skills that employers need them to have to go out into the workplace now? So I think that's a massive challenge. And those of you who know me from my previous existence in local government, now I've only been in education in FE for 4 years. And one of the things that hit me as an outsider coming into obviously a very well-established sector was the massive need for skills providers to talk to engage with, to listen to employers and find out what it is they need to make sure that their provision is current, relevant and in demand. So just for me, heading back to the question about how FE is particularly supporting STEM, the care sector and clean growth for the Surrey economy, was actually a really nice way to phrase that question. You might think that's a slightly odd comment, but I looked back at the areas for growth that we've identified at Nescott over the next few years, things that we really want to focus on. And I'm conscious I've got 1 minute and I will tell you what they are. So they are digital growth, employers needing people with really good digital skills, both basic and more technical and advanced. I'm really pleased to say that Nescott's working with Coastal Capital around a bid for an Institute of Technology that will include some digital engagement. We're also working with employers, a group of IT companies, to get them to tell us what it is they need, because what we think they need and what they actually need are quite probably two different things. So really getting down there with employers around co-delivery and co-design. So that's kind of my STEM bit. I mean, it's not quite STEM, but it's almost. Care and early years is another area. So we know the care sector is going to grow massively. So adult social care, introducing more advanced access to nursing and healthcare, and working with universities into degree apprenticeships for nursing. And then finally, the clean growth agenda. Construction is still a big area for FE. And we are looking particularly at our gas and electric academy and growth around that, because we know there's massive demand. How do we take that forward and really meet the need for sustainable energy technologies? So we've got a big bid in at the moment with the Capital Transformation Fund with the DFE for that, and then looking at what we can get into around the decarbonisation agenda as well. So I could talk for 6 hours, let alone 6 minutes, on the challenges for FE. That's just to give you a little bit of a flavour of where we are at the moment, and happy to answer any questions later on.
Thank you very much. Lots of food for thought there, and I've got several questions. We need to race on. Before we go on to the next speaker, another quick poll, please, Shirley. And hopefully the results are coming up soon. Gosh, I don't see any results yet. Ah, there we are. So what do you think is the biggest challenge for the workplace over the next few months? Staff well-being. Gosh, that is, I think if we'd looked at that a year ago, we wouldn't have seen that. That's really, really encouraging, really encouraging. And maybe we've got some questions on that later on. So to move on to our next speaker, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Managing Director Kate Lester, who founded Diamond Logistics almost 30 years ago at the age of 20. Kate and her company have received too many awards over the years to mention here, but I must promote her fabulous work on equality and diversity. The mantra of Diamond Logistics is that it's all about the people, not just parcels. Over to you, Kate.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have a new managing director who runs the business on a day-to-day basis. I'm actually Chief Executive Officer, but thank you, Rosemary, very much. So this is going to be now for something completely different, I guess. And we've been asked what business needs from government, FE and HE. So I'd say, you know, the one thing I want to reiterate is that it's really difficult in places like Surrey to recruit really good people still. So that it shows great hope for young people who are looking for employment because there's plenty of vacancies out there. But ultimately speaking, you know, we need them to be coming to look for businesses like us in order for us to be able to recruit them. So what do we need? We need a work-ready workforce. And I guess there's three major attributes of that. Number one is the right training. Number two is the right attributes. And number three is the right reality. So let me speed run through all of those. So number one is right training. I'd say 25% of the candidates, I know this from my kids' experience and all the rest of it, that have gone through the university thing, and they don't work in the sectors of their sort of chosen degree. So we've got a lot of people that come to us with relatively unapplicable skill sets. And they're unwilling to look at sort of unsexy sectors. And, you know, you may think that logistics is unsexy, but bearing in mind we're the third biggest sector in the UK and our business has grown 70% in the last 12 months, it's really well worth people looking at in terms of future secure employment prospects. I believe a really important way of doing this going forward is to help kids out in terms of the cost of going to university, and to help make university degrees more vocational is to have an earn as you learn sort of concept. You know, like a 5-year degree, but one day, you know, release with young people going into further education and making it more applicable for the skill sets that they need, so that when they hit employment that they're ready to run. I think that's really important, because we look at people with experience versus fresh out of degree, and experience buys a lot of points, and I think people really need to know that. The other thing is the right attributes. So, and this is really about attitudes. I was always wowed by a woman called Deborah Searle. If you've not read her book, look it up. And she was a solo woman who rode the Atlantic. And the one saying she always has is, you've got to choose your attitude. We all know that 2020 has been awful and 2021 looks similarly sort of challenging, but ultimately speaking, I think we can all look at it as a lesson in establishing resilience, in learning to deal with, you know, really sort of challenging times. And we really need people to be focusing on the key personal attributes and developing these attributes within our future workforce, which is hardworking, tenacious, willing, adaptive, and also willing to start from an entry-level position. And again, I know that's not cool and I know it's not popular, but ultimately speaking, everybody in the Diamond journey starts from an entry-level position and has to work up their way through the ranks. If it's not been with us, then they have to have done that within their previous company. And we do that culturally speaking, because it shows people are willing to get their hands dirty. So right attributes is really important as well. The other thing is the right reality. Is that work is tough at the moment and business is tough. And it's not just, you know, it is particularly tough for people in hospitality, in retail, you know, in the care sector. It's incredibly kind of tough, but the rest of business is having a pretty tough time. And there's very few businesses such as ours that are having a positive time and a growth time. And I think people have to kind of mold their perspectives of or sense of entitlement around the concept that we're all having quite a challenging time at the moment. So whether you're having to deal with flexible working, or whether you're having to deal with COVID restrictions, or whether you're having to deal with an enormous drop off in terms of revenue, you know, I think we've all got to have that kind of sense of that we're all in it together. And then I just wanted a quick 2 minutes, ever so quick 2 minutes, just a few points for people within education, HE and FE. And I just think that a perspective from our side of the things as employers and young people's side of things is that potentially speaking, education is beginning to be perceived as not being great value for money. If you look up some readings on Professor Scott Galloway about this, I think he's got a lot to say about the pandemic accelerating these trends, particularly in terms of the cost, the innovation of education, potentially discrimination, the disruptive forces that are coming into the education centre, and the cultural kind of sea change. So if it's not good value and it isn't working for industry, then we need to have a rethink. But please consult with us, because we need you and you need us. So that would be my message. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic, Kate. It's okay, you had another couple of minutes. Can I just explore a little more your comment about earning and learning, because I was always a great fan of degree apprenticeships, which seem to have gone a bit by the by, where you worked for 4 days a week and went to university 1 day a week, but they seem to have disappeared.
I think that's a cracking idea. I think the reality is that, you know, if you get anybody who's just come from a pure degree perspective, particularly if they haven't had part-time work throughout their education, they come into the workforce, you know, too naive to be practical. I think it would be absolutely ideal, particularly if people were looking at sectors such as logistics, that they did 4 days in the office and a day on day release and did a 5-year degree. And number one, they're earning a salary, so it doesn't cost them an enormous amount of money for their digs, etc., etc. And number two, they've got practical, resources and sources in order to move forward. So earn as you learn.
And they've got the mentoring and they don't have the fees. It's
Absolutely.
all win-win. That's something I would definitely push. Thank you, Kate. It's great to hear your views from the sharp end of business. So relevant. And you have truly walked the skills talk, I think. We're now going to hear from Jamie Mackay, Skills Strategy Manager from Enterprise M3 Local Enterprise Partnership. Jamie leads on skills and employment opportunities, which is obviously a key part of this region's economic recovery. I am looking forward to hearing about how our local enterprise partnership is connecting local business to great local talent. Over to you, Jamie.
Great, thanks, Rosemary. I think we've got a poll that we're just going to sort of put up just before I kick off. So if we could see that one. Let colleagues just sort of fill that in. Quite neatly leads on from some of the things that Kate was saying about this collaboration. Okay, those results. Interesting. So some good collaboration going on, which is positive. I'm just going to take a cheeky little screenshot of that. Okay, and if you sort of tell me more as well, that's kind of what I was looking for. So brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to just share my screen. Hopefully colleagues can see that. So good afternoon, everyone. So during these odd times, I have found myself being mistaken for a Generation Z as I queue up to purchase alcohol and am asked to lower my mask to prove my age. Some of you might have experienced this as well. Well, look, my name is Jamie Mackay. I'm the Skills Strategy Manager from Enterprise M3 LEP. It's great to see a few familiar names on the delegate list today. I welcome the opportunity to speak to you today about our next generation of workers and leaders, Generation Z. I'm going to focus very much on the supply and demand of skills. So as we've seen during the last few years, some of the older Generation Z are seeking change through organised activity. But what sorts of skills are they bringing to the workplace, and why should they be on your wanted list? Well, here are 3 reasons to sort of start off. First, they are fast information processors. Some might say multitaskers. particularly when the information is delivered via video or immersively. So if you're in a fast-moving area or need to pivot your business to a new sector, Generation Z can help bring you up to speed. Second, having grown up with advanced connected technologies, they are digital pioneers. They don't know everything. Think MS Teams and actually email, but they will pick different models.
We're losing you a bit, Jamie, there.
Hello?
Jamie, we're losing you. You're being interrupted. Can you have another go? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Good now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this week we've heard about the digital skills disaster, but what is not captured is how Generation Z can and are picking up the skills unconventionally. Think learning through TikTok and YouTube for a start. They may just need some guidance and support for formal learning. And of course, related to this, they will be looking for jobs through tangible connections to business. So the managed and funded Enterprise M3 Careers and Enterprise Company do just this. The team recruit, train and deploy business volunteers into schools and colleges where they work with strategic leaders to create tailored careers programs for the learners. Right now, we've got a team of enterprise advisors and coordinators working with over 100 schools and colleges across Hampshire and Surrey to do just this. But it's not just about strategic engagement. Once our volunteers have got a taste for the careers program, they often want to get involved too. Therefore, we also work with them and other partners to support delivery of engaging, interactive careers events to further inspire young people about the opportunities that lie ahead of them. For example, our upcoming Careers and Apprenticeship show, supported by LEPS and taking place online on 20th of May. Events such as these will help our next generation of workers and leaders to aspire to things they can't yet see, jobs that don't yet exist, for example. At EM3, we go further by making strategic investments in skills. So during the last 10 years, EM3 has made £33 million worth of funding investments in skills, helping to deliver over 2,000 apprenticeships and over 29,000 metres squared of new learning floor space. I just want to give you some examples of these sorts of projects. So the digital skills work with our FE colleges transforms course delivery and equips our learners with skills needed by employers, which has been mentioned earlier today. This resulted from the government's Getting Building Fund, investing in shovel-ready projects to help in the recovery from COVID. The Care Skills Training Centre at Guildford College helps address an area of the labour market facing huge skill shortages. It might not surprise you to hear that the employer with the most postings during the last 12 months here in EM3 was the NHS. And then the Health Tech Accelerator at the University of Surrey. At a time when medtech has never been so important to humanity, the university is offering a dedicated space for local health technology companies to develop products, services, and processes designed to meet patient need and could be fast-tracked into the NHS as well as private health and social care markets. Nevertheless, our understanding of our local economy has highlighted areas where we see future economic recovery and, importantly, growth. In EM3, our Skills Action Plan identifies 3 transformational ambitions linked to our skills and employment priorities to help revive and renew the local skills landscape. The first, a digital higher skills partnership, brings together employers and providers to help address gaps in higher digital skills linked to specialist roles in the digital economy. The second links net zero targets to the decarbonisation of buildings and capitalises on our existing strengths in the construction sector, offering a national centre for sustainable construction as the place to go for skills and talent needs. And finally, launched during National Apprenticeship Week and part funded by the European Social Fund, and I think 1 or 2 of the team are on this call, the Apprenticeship and Skills Hub acknowledges skills as central to a green recovery and connects employers in emerging low carbon sectors to local education training providers through an impartial service. And I just wanted to mention the work of the EM3 Growth Hub as well. So the Growth Hub offers support to SMEs in the area engaged in scale up and high growth activity. Includes a range of offers, including help with people, training, skills, and recruitment. And actually one of their newest recruits in the Growth Hub has been recruited as an apprentice, highlighting the value of business working closer with education and training providers. As employers, we recognise the value of work experience. And again, it's been mentioned earlier today. as we recruit fresh new talent into the labour market. But due to COVID-19, a lot of these opportunities have actually dried up. The latest labour market statistics released earlier this week suggest unemployment might have slowed, but there are indications this could be due to job protection rather than job creation, meaning fewer opportunities for those trying to enter the labour market for the first time. Now, your business can actually help address this. You're offering work experience to these young people to help address some of your own needs. I've written about some of the ways you can do this in the article linked on this slide. So in summary, the next generation of workers and leaders offer businesses some new ways of thinking and engaging with their customer base. The work of the LEP is helping to create connections to these individuals by investing in high impact skills projects and initiatives with education and training providers. We offer a vision based on our close monitoring and understanding of the local economy. None of this would happen without LEPs, and none of this would happen without you. The key is therefore, surprise, surprise, collaboration. So if you'd be interested in collaborating on any of the projects and initiatives I've mentioned, please get in touch. There we go.
Hey, Jamie, sorry about that slight interruption at the beginning, but we got all over it, so I don't know what that was. Now for our final speaker, Professor Max Liu, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Surrey, a university that truly, equally faces globally and locally. Over to you, Professor Liu.
Thank you very much, Fran, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. So today's seminar focuses on specifically on the next generation of workers and leaders, but the university never really does anything else. So today I would like to share with you a little about the university's history in educating workers and leaders and how it contributes to the economic health of Surrey, our nation, and globally. Next, please. So this is a snapshot of the University of Surrey today. You can see that there's a lot of numbers, but one bore you with all these numbers. The university, together with the research park that we host, contributes enormously to the national economy. Some 20,000 jobs we support, and nearly 2 billion, 1.98 billion, the latest estimate economic benefits for the UK. So we are recognized as an anchor institution in Surrey, in the borough, and operating for the public benefits. At the heart of what we do, really, we want to improve humanity through the development, the cultivation, the social, economical, and personal well-being of the people we educate, the people we work with. This means that working closely with our community, with all the businesses, organizations around us, supporting knowledge exchange, informing policy, and adding value. From citizen science to raising aspirations and attainment of the local King's College students, for example, the university partnership cut across the whole community around here in Surrey, and that will serve us well in times of stability as well as upheavals alike. Just to speak of the challenges that we faced, or we all just experienced in the last 12 months. But the question for me today is, what are the business needs, as the early speakers already talked to some of these, post-COVID growth, and how the university will play a central role in this. Next slide, please. So there are many ways to lead and to inspire. We have bright students, and some of our students here today, I'm very pleased to see them here, who work together to achieve high and lead the world, even while they are still undergrads, and also talented staff who spend the weekends taking fascinating events to our community, so that our research can really, truly reach out to change lives. For example, last year, we had a team of undergraduate students from chemical engineering who won the prestigious international competition hosted by the Royal Academy of Engineering on recycling plastics. And the World Space Week in 2019 in Guildford played host to more than 1,000 children and their parents. So this photo on the slides was taken on the High Street in Guildford. Next, please. It is the same with our graduates. Of course, we're very proud of many of the alumni, 127,000 of them around the globe, who are making tremendous contribution to our society. I mean, you may be familiar with some of the faces on the slides. From the Oscar winners, we have 3 of them, 9 Grammy winners, and the many BAFTA winners, to Linda Dobbs, our first Black female High Court judge, and to the famous Jim McLeely, the science broadcaster and Royal Society Fellow, who is a professor of physics here, and to Sir Martin Sweeting, the father of small satellite, who pioneered the small satellite revolution in the world. And they made 22 satellites for the Galileo GPS system. Next, please. Our aim is to be a great university producing the next generation of leaders and workers who are prepared for the times of change and challenge, and the research outcomes that will contribute to the economic and the wealth of the nation and shape a better future for our society. As the UK charts a path from recovery to renewed prosperity, we look to the next generation as much as we rely on the current generation, established professionals. Our role in developing the young people who will be our future is even more important today. So we're already training and supporting the next entrepreneurs, and we have the business club students here today and many other entrepreneurs on our campus working with businesses in all sectors, including healthcare, engineering, business, science and arts and humanities. Next, please. And as we continue to prepare the next generation, sort of the rankings and awards do recognize the quality of our programs, education. You know, on this slides, we are very proud to say that we are ranked the top in the country in terms of offering undergraduate programs with the Gold Award accreditation. We ranked 59th in the world in the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking, that is based on the UN SDG goals. And in particular, we ranked number 9 in the world in terms of contributing to good health and well-being in SDG 3. So building on our heritage of engagement with businesses, we ranked number 1 in the UK by the QS World Employability Ranking in 2019. This is for our student employability. In 3 years in a row, we won the National Employability Award and job placement. I just heard Jamie talking about placement and working with LAP EM3, many businesses. We place thousands of students every year in Surrey and beyond. Okay, next please. As COVID hit, not only did we rapidly transition to online teaching, learning and remote working, but we also kicked off more than 100 related research projects to really contribute to the national and global effort. Many of these projects were collaborative with our partners around Surrey and in the country, addressing testing, vaccine, trials, and transmission behavior and treatment. Our students played an integral role in all this innovation, working alongside with academic and researchers and business partners. So we also donated about 120,000 PPEs to our local community and the NHS hospital and GP surgeries and care homes. Next, please. One of the inventions that resulted from this research at Surrey in collaboration with Brunel University is a highly accurate COVID-19 rapid test kit called Virus Hunter 6. Which delivers results under 20 minutes with 99% accuracy. In simple terms, up to 6 oral samples can be taken and tested per machine at one time, and by less than 20 minutes, AI is used in assess the results and then integrated in through our 5G technology into an app, and that will report the results. So this has been credited by the MHRA and for use in mass point of care testing in large settings such as university campuses, airports, and care homes. As we speak, many of the students and staff are using this to test alongside with the national lateral flow testing technology on our campus. Next, please. So indeed, as it's been acknowledged, COVID has changed many things in the past year. We have seen many sectors being impacted. A group of researchers from the University of Surrey, led by Professor Amelia Hadfield, have produced the report charting Surrey's post-COVID recovery and growth report, which is commissioned by the Future Economics Surrey Commission, chaired by Lord Hammond. It reviews the impact of the COVID-19 on Surrey's business, healthcare, aviation, knowledge sectors, and offered a host of strategic recommendations. For example, one of the report's recommendations is to innovate the high street, turning the high street into businesses and hubs for inclusive career support, healthcare, training, and supported by the cutting-edge 5G telecommunication infrastructure. So this blueprint for the future would be underpinned by the new generation of workers and leaders, and with new skills. Next, please. Speaking of new skills, I think you've probably seen the report of the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs Report 2020. This report highlights the new jobs will emerge, requiring new skills, and most predominantly in the digitization, AI, and automation field. And this is very, very significant transition. In the next 20 years, we're looking at a great shortage of digital skills. In fact, next, please. The report from McKinsey's Global Institute also highlights this trend. And the UK Skills Mismatch Report 2030 identifies significant shortages, something like 21 million workers, which is actually 2/3 of our workforce. By 2030, we will lack the basic digital skills. And of course, leadership, management, decision-making, higher cognitive skills are also very, very important. Next, please. So as we see from this more detailed slides, we continue to prepare top-flight young people with cutting-edge education, in sectors that are important to the economy. Our top 100 subjects in the world, including hospitality and tourism, telecommunications, aerospace, nursing, veterinary medicine, electrical, electronic engineering, transport, and sociology. This is ranked among thousands of universities, and we have 8 subjects in the top 100 in the world. And all of these are going to contribute to the new skills that I talked about, the new jobs that we need for our business of the future. So leaders who have weathered the global crisis are trained to see opportunity instead of obstacles. I think we all here as leaders of the business and FE and higher education colleges, so we are about to really thinking about the new opportunities, reimagine the future post-COVID. Next, please. So we have a strong foundation at the University of Surrey. I'm very proud to say that we have a strong commitment to contributing to society, a great talent pool, and state-of-the-art infrastructure. And it's a very global sort of community with a global outlook and the strong reputation and the network of business partners would set us in good stead in producing the next generation leaders and workers with new skills. Next, please. So as you all recognize, we face huge challenges post-COVID, not least in climate change, economic recovery, and digital transformation. So both of these areas are very important to businesses as well as to the university as an anchor institution in the region. We will seize the opportunities that digital transformation has offered, and we're going to really take sustainability very seriously into our curriculum and into our practice, as well as we operate as a business on our campus. So in business education alike, we now have the opportunity to reimagine the world that will need new skills and new workers, and we will seek new opportunities to collaborate, to develop creative, innovative solutions together. So I truly believe that as a university, this is our hallmark, and we look forward to working with all of you and the business partners in the future to deliver such a vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. Bang on time. Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to the Q&A session. Could the presenters, Jamie, Kate, Francis, and of course Max, turn on your cameras and your sound? And I'm going to try and tackle some of these questions. While you've been talking, Max especially, there's been a huge amount of chatting online. Some of it quite controversial, such as the fees for universities, when in fact the students have not been to university. I'm not going to get into the political side of this, but there is a point to be made about the cost of university, Max. How do we, how do we cope with that? Sorry, Max, we're expecting, I think it's the average 50, 60,000 for a student to go to university now, when you could go to a further education college for 3,000, 4,000, or indeed do a degree apprenticeship for nothing. What's your position on that?
Well, I think the FE and HE have a distinctive different roles to play, but all contribute to the skill, the spectrum of skills that we cover. I would say that there's a lot of value adding in terms of the cognitive skill, the decision making, and the management skill, leadership, through a 3-year degree, and also through the other interactions with businesses, which is similar to the FE in that case. I think the value, there's a lot of literature on this. When you do a degree, your earning powers, not only your earning powers, your life opportunities through the networking on campus and your social skills, soft skills, it's all enhanced in such a way that you benefit for the whole life. So that's no doubt about that. I do recognize the cost is an issue and affordability is an issue. But I think we are fortunate to have the student loans, and many of the student loans are actually not paid back. I mean, that's all sort of another way of subsidizing the education. But just to answer just quickly, briefly, the cost in terms of the pandemic, we are trying to offer a hybrid education. In fact, as we speak, we have 4,500 students on campus with the face-to-face tutorials, facilitation, and practical sessions. That's trying to add value. And in fact, delivering the online initially really cost a lot more than the traditional classroom delivery. So in a way, in terms of the cost and in terms of the value, we're trying to give the student as much as possible the value they deserve. I think obviously there's a lot of challenges we recognize during the pandemic, and that has been a really part of that discussion, our dialogue with the student body.
Thank you, Max. Here's one from Francis. Actually, it's a question from Kate. What are T-levels?
Oh, how long have we got? So they are technical levels, and they are predominantly at level 3. So levels in FE go from 1 to 3. 3 is broadly the same as an A level, and they are really intended to be a technical A level. So you have a much simplified pathway. Either you do A levels and potentially then go, this is really oversimplifying, but A levels and onto university, or T levels, which appeal to students who are perhaps less academic and more technical, more vocational, and then into higher education that way.
Jamie?
Yeah, so this government in particular has been focusing quite a lot on technical education, and has identified particular gaps from employers in those high technical sort of skills. So if we use the levels, sort of levels 4 and 5, and in fact in our area we've done some research and we found that similarly as well. Level 4 and 5 provision has kind of reduced. There aren't as many colleges and not universities offering that sort of level of education, and yet employers are looking for it. So we are now appealing to our education training providers to fill those gaps, because there are some concerns being raised by employers that there are too many graduates coming out who are at a certain level, and they have got places to go, and that's fine, but actually there is a sort of a gap in the middle. The lovely thing about T-levels is it will offer a route into those levels 4 and 5. So although in our area we've got sort of limited offers of T-levels at the moment, it should increase over the next few years, and we are hoping that there will be more level 4 and 5 provision as well to offer the progression routes for those individuals.
It's a bit alarming though to have someone like Kate, who's really well connected, knows what's going on in the skills agenda, and hadn't heard of T-levels, and of course it has been a bit of a mess. And that's the same issue with degree apprenticeships. There's not enough knowledge out there for parents. Yeah. Would you like to say anything about that, Kate? Oh. You've got to unmute, Kate. Sorry.
You can't hear that. I've got 2 people on the phone behind me. I didn't want them to, we're playing Zoom bingo again, aren't we? I wanted to challenge something that Max Liu said, actually, in terms of the cost of education, in terms of there's a contradiction in what you're saying, because you're saying that, £50,000 represents a great opportunity to earn more money and all the rest of it, but many people won't actually pay that back. So I really challenge the concept that you need a university degree to out-earn your counterparts. I didn't go to university. I started my own business instead, and I can guarantee that I probably out-earn most people. So, ultimately speaking, I don't want people to get caught up in that. And then in terms of, what was your question? Sorry, Rosemary.
Yes, that you asked it on the chat. We were talking about English and maths. You said that wasn't so bad, but what are T-levels, you said?
No, I don't. Well, yeah, I mean, T-levels, I think it's really interesting. I think there's a real problem with this, calling something like T-levels not academic, though, because I think when you talk about something being not academic, then people deem it to be more stupid. And again, you're not going to recruit people. Well, I'm talking from a punter's perspective. So ultimately speaking, what we see is how it's perceived, right? So I would genuinely say that there's a bit of a marketing thing there. So, vocational sounds really good. Less academic sounds like it's a little disparaging. More technically sort of orientated is great. But so tell us what they are, and then can they not do T-levels and then do a couple of days a week with a local business as well? Because then they're training and they're getting experience, and then they get to university kind of time, and then they can do this degree apprenticeship thing that I've just heard about. But hands up to all the universities, please, that do business management and all the rest of it, degree apprenticeships. I'd be really, really interesting in speaking to you.
Well, there's certainly Chichester, I think Portsmouth does, not sure about Surrey, but many do business management degree apprenticeships, but you're right, it's not well known.
They should be writing to the employers, if I don't know about it, then yeah, a bit of a marketing problem there.
It's a very good point. Okay then, good question here from Paul Cliff on staff, employee well-being. And in fact, it was mentioned earlier on by one of the speakers, I can't remember who. So what are businesses? What are you doing, Kate, regarding staff well-being?
Well, if you don't sort out your team, you haven't got a business, basically. And we only stand on the shoulders of our team, so it's incredibly important. And the lockdown has been incredibly challenging for everybody. We've got people who've been shielding, we've got people that are frontline, and we've had a COVID outbreak here before Christmas, etc., etc. So we've had to sort of balance all of that. I think it's really important to listen. I think it's very important to have open communication. We were very conscious of introducing mental health as being a conversation that we'd be happy to talk about at the start of our board huddles. I think it's important to talk less rather than more. So, I mean, although we're a bit Zoom fatigued and all the rest of it, when you've still got a little bit of a remote working team, and we've now got 30 plus sites all around the UK, so we're trying to engage with all of those people as well. So Zoom more, not less. Flexible working is never going to go away. Anybody who believes that their team need to be in the office 5 days a week, unless they're frontline operational, I don't think that's actually going to happen. And please encourage everybody to take the holidays that they've backlogged over the last year, because I'm pretty sure everybody's done exactly the same as we have, in that nobody wanted to go on holiday because there was nowhere to go. So either, you know, you've got to convert that to cash or let them take the holiday. And I think that's going to be really important too. So yeah, just practical tips.
I remember where I saw the staff wellbeing, it's because it scored so high in the poll. That's why I remembered it. An interesting question from Ellie Moore, which I think I can answer, and possibly Fran can too. What happened to catering at school? What happened to, I know I did catering in the first and second year at school. Well, actually, Ellie, there's amazing catering colleges that you can go to at 16, or is it even younger, Fran? At Brooklands and at Guildford, really fabulous colleges, which in fact have far better facilities than we ever would have had at school.
Yeah, I think that's right, Rosemary, and it is, you know, very well recognised qualification. Although I have to say, we were talking about it only this morning at our senior leadership team. We have got one applicant for a catering apprenticeship.
Wow.
The numbers are really low at the moment for young people, because they see the service and particularly catering industries shut down, laying people off. There's no future there for them at this point in time, is the way that they see that. So I know that colleagues in other colleges offering catering are really struggling at the moment.
Gosh, and that's particularly upsetting when you consider that University of Surrey is in the top 5 in the country for hospitality, might even be higher than that. Amazing managing directors of hotels all around the world were trained at Surrey, and with a fabulous catering restaurant as well. Well, that's very sad. Digital skills, a question, well, a statement really on digital skills. One of our problems in businesses is, and indeed not just businesses, but any organization, is that digital skills have to start at the top. And now the top of organizations tend to be led by older people who struggle on Zoom. How are we going to do that disconnect? Any comments from the panel? Jamie?
There's a phrase that was introduced to you a couple of months.
Oh, Jamie. Jamie, anybody want to? Okay, start again. Okay, Jamie, we're losing you again. Anybody else want to make a comment on that? Sorry, try again, Jamie, and then we'll go over to Max. Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and squeeze it in. So, reverse mentoring. I don't know if colleagues have come across this reverse mentoring, where actually employees are become the mentor, and you know the more senior staff become the mentee. And I wonder whether there's some exciting opportunities there where actually the younger, more sort of junior members of staff can actually support the more senior members of staff to learn those sorts of digital skills. Just an idea.
Max?
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea, and I know people who do it and say it works really, really well. But I do think the point that the lady who asked the question is well made. And I do see, you know, as we're all getting older, as I get older, it almost seems to be a badge of honor with people to say, oh, you know, I'm not very good at IT. And we're real troglodytic about it, like it's something to be proud of. And to me now, it ought to be like admitting that you don't read or write so well. You know, it should be something that if we know we don't do well, we should be really working on trying to improve. Because if we're talking to, as providers, if we're talking to employers and needing to upskill their own staff in that way, how can we possibly talk about that if we don't know about it ourselves? So I think we just need a little bit of a mind shift away. It's not necessarily something to be so proud of.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, we lead by example, but the reverse mentoring idea of Jamie is a very good one. I mean, I learned a lot of the digital skills, the new gadgets things from my son. You know, that's kind of reverse mentoring at home. I guess another role of leaders is to ensure the investment, you know, the good decisions made on, you know, whatever resource level you have to invest the digital infrastructure and then to also look at the issue of the digital divide, equity issues across the whole employment, as well as your students. We offer lots of hardship scholarships, and also we support our staff if they really not having good access or good equipment. So all of these are important. I think leadership should really ensure the good conditions for digital transformation, as well as the practice.
And as Anthony has commented, digital skills is not about working in a digital business. Digital skills is everything in a business now. It's like learning to use a pencil. And I think once we get that attitude right, things will change. Right, I'm beginning to get close to the end. I'm really sorry. I've got lots of questions here that I still haven't asked, and I'm very sorry. But at least it's created a bit of a chat. There's a great question here on leadership and management training, which seems to have gone by the way. It's not so sexy. It's not happening, said one person, Julian Wathan. And another one is for a Minister of Hospitality. Well, that has to be Max, doesn't it? The Minister of Hospitality.
You're all welcome to our restaurant, Lakeside Restaurant.
And as somebody that runs in her semi-retirement a bed and breakfast that has gone down the pan overnight. I had 4% occupancy last year, down from 80%. It's shocking. Okay, then I'm going to have to wind up here. But before we wind up, let's have one last poll. Poll, please, Shirley. Wow, how confident are we? Young employment. Gosh. It's good. Fairly confident. That's encouraging. I have to admit, I put down not confident. I have to admit, and a few very confident. Well, we've got the right people here. We've got the Surrey Skills organisation that's led by Bob Pickles, who I know is on the call. We've got Francis Rutter leading the Costa Capital Skills Group, and we've got the Skills Group that's in the Enterprise LEP. We've got plenty going on. That was one of the questions somebody asked. What are we doing about it? These organisations, not-for-profit business leaders getting together and trying to do something about it. So I want to say thank you to our speakers today, to Francis Rutter, to Professor Max Liu, to Jamie Mackay, and to Kate Lester. It's fabulous, Kate, having a business online, and I'm sorry for disturbing your work because I know how busy you are. Logistics has been amazing with the online last mile deliveries that's been going on during the pandemic. Thank you once again to our partners, the Borough Councils, Guildford, Surrey Heath and Waverley. Thank you to Shirley, to Andy, to Debbie and to Kate, who were all behind the scenes working the wires this afternoon. You don't see them. A reminder that the recording of this will be on the Business South YouTube channel, and you can find that on our website homepage. And if you enjoyed this event, and I hope you did, do join us for the next one on the 19th of May on the economy, supply chain and Brexit trade. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm hoping that I'm just about on time. I'm a